Hello everyone. Today we will have two interesting stories. Before we get to that, I want to ask you to subscribe, like, and be sure to write comments in order to participate in the development of the community. Write how to improve my community, current topics in the stories you are interested in, and much more. I read and listen to all the comments. People write me stories by mail from different countries. There are problems with translation. I apologize for this. I will work on it and try to fix these errors. I want to thank everyone for their support and the people who wrote to me by mail. Broadcast news stories. New videos on my channel are published every 2 days at 7 p.m. Don't forget to put a bell in order not to miss new videos. And now let's go. Hello, I want to tell you my story. My wife and I have lived together for 26 years. We have 2 adult sons. My wife practically didn't work all this time. It's been a year and a half since it all started. My wife often talks on the phone in the bathroom. She gets strange text messages, but constantly spend time with her best friend and so on. Sex in our relationship only on holidays. I started paying attention to all this last year, but as a noble horned deer, I did not pay much importance to this. That is, my brain filtered out all the bad thoughts. But the first thing that came to my mind was that the age of my wife is to blame. She is 46 years old. After a while, I noticed the phone bills. As it turned out, my wife has been communicating with her lover for more than a year. I was shocked. I decided to divorce my wife right away, but I wanted to know more information. I tapped my home phone and installed a camera. I tried to behave inconspicuously, but it was very hard for me to pretend. Over time, I began to learn interesting details. As it turned out, my wife has been going left for a long time. Moreover, my wife has not had enough of her lover. He is a disabled person of the second group. After parting with his wife, his leg was paralyzed. My wife felt sorry for him. Beside him, she had another boyfriend, but she communicates with him on a mobile phone. I haven't been good to identify him yet. In general, 3 weeks under such pressures affected my body. I went to the doctor's appointment. The tonometer scale was not enough. My pressure was very high. I was in the hospital for 3 weeks to put own health in order. I came home during my wife's absence and saved files on my laptop with compromising evidence. I was glad that my wife didn't take anyone to our house. Her lover lived in the next entrance. I started feeling better and was discharged from the hospital. I decided to stabilize the situation. I moved in with my mother for a while and lived with her. At this time, I developed several options to catch my wife on the hoe, but my nerves couldn't stand it. My wife has run out of red calendar days. I found out that my wife took a CD with porn and went to visit her lover. I called my wife and told her that I was discharged from the hospital and I would be home soon. But actually, I immediately went to my wife's lover. I went to the front door and decided to listen to what was going on there. But there was silence. I knocked, and a minute later the front door opened. I brazenly walk into his apartment and watch the picture. My wife is standing with a confused face next to her lover in a bathrobe. I calmly said that after that she was dead to me. I photographed them for a long memory. I had one case. My friend also caught his wife on the hot. She said he was crazy and he imagined everything. She even turned the children against him. So I decided to hedge my best. After 2 hours, my wife returned home and we had a scandal. My wife cried and promised to commit suicide. I called my wife's lover and asked him, take her away. The next day, I packed up all her things and took to her lover. My wife texted me nonstop. Initially, she asked for forgiveness and begged to return everything. Then they accused me of all my sins and said that I didn't pay attention to her. She also remembered my date with a friend 9 years ago. She said that I then cheated on her. But to be honest, I watched the 10th Kingdom with my best friend all night. No matter how funny it sounds, my wife was at that time in a country house with our children. My best friend left for another city a week later and got married. I prepared our children and told them that mom had found another man. That's life and there's nothing can do about it. I have filed for divorce. My children are already adults. One is 20, the second is 20. The second is 25 years old. They to treat everything with understanding. My wife was cold to me and our children all the time. Maybe she resented me for taking her to live in the wilderness, or for some other reason, I do not know. of the jointly acquired property only household appliances. Most of the household appliances are gifts from my mother. I work as a system administrator. Clients often ask to come to their home. This is another one of my wife's reproaches. She said that I was at the girl's house and cheated on her, but this nonsense can only be seen in erotic films. My wife just recently got a job. In general, she has worked for 5 years for 26 years of marriage. In short, I'm a free man. But why do I feel so bad? There is emptiness in my soul. I understand that nothing can be returned and that I made the right choice. But it's very hard for me to fight it. My wife looks after one grandmother. This grandmother is a psychologist by profession. It seems to me that she is helping my wife to get me back. My wife's lover initially shouted that he loved her. But when I caught them on the hop, he's trying to get rid of my wife now. In general, I just don't have enough moral support. Well, at least my eldest son supports me. I turned to a good lawyer and started running in the morning. In general, give advice on how to recover quickly. Write your comment what you think about this. Before we move on to the opinion of the author of the channel, we will have one more little story. Let's go. I am 27 years old. My wife is 25 years old. We have been together for 8 years. We lived together for 5 years while studying at the university. We have a daughter who is 2 years old. I met my wife when she was 16 years old. When we started dating, my wife had a boyfriend she left. In general, I was her first in sex. She lived with her mother and brother. My wife's father died of alcohol. My wife's mother is a leader in life and the head of the family. They lived very well in spite of everything. After graduating from university, I joined the Army and became a successful person. I had a small business and a good income. After the wedding, I took her to my apartment. We lived in the same provincial town. After a while, we had a baby. I began depression and we often quarreled because I was working from home and I needed peace. Our house is constantly clean and cozy. My wife cooks very tasty. In general, everything suited me. One day I got very sick. I had kidney problems. There was very little sex in our relationship. I sometimes went fishing with my friends. Later, the doctor advised me to go in for sports, to get my kidneys in order. Soon my wife began to reproach me about fishing and sports. She wanted me to devote all my free time to her. I will not hide with my family. I spent little time. If you don't take into account the fact that I was working at home, friends often come to visit us and we had a very good time together. For 8 months, I struggled with the disease and finally recovered. My wife supported me and expressed sympathy in the absence of intimacy. During this time, I have small sin. I'm ashamed to talk about it now, because men don't say that. My wife is somewhat like her mother. She likes to solve all the issues herself and gets in where she doesn't need to. One case was on my birthday. We were sitting relaxing in a nightclub. A fight broke out on the street. We called the police, and as soon as they arrived, my wife got into their car. I started getting my wife out of the police car. In general, thank God understanding people work in the police. After that, 2 policemen decided to come up to our apartment to make sure that everything was fine with us. As a result, my wife started seducing them. She molested one of the men. I was shocked. I started screaming and kicked the police out of my house. After that, I called my wife a whore. There was a similar situation one more time. My wife is proud of herself and believes that this is how she solves men's issues. In general, all these parties ended badly for me. My wife has gained extra weight. To her a couple of times that she needed to lose weight. My wife was very offended with me. All these little things lead to strong scandals in our family. The last point in our relationship was my injury in sports. I had an operation and cast was applied. The doctor said that I should stay at home for 2 months. Most likely my mistake was that I went to my parents for this time. My wife herself acted very cunningly and invited me to leave. She said that it would be more convenient for me to move around on crutches at my parents' house. As a result, my wife confronts me with the fact that she goes to nightclubs and has new friends. One girl is divorced, the other is free. These 2 girls are my wife's new friends. I find out from my friends that these girls are both of easy virtue. My friends have had sex with them more than once. Our relationship has cooled down and my wife is constantly getting calls from someone. I'm guessing it's a new man. She won't let me check my cell phone. We began to see each other very rarely. As a result, she says that our relationship has come to an end. She reacted strangely to my proposal to divorce. Most likely, she is afraid of the division of property, because she immediately started asking me not to pick up the car, because it will be hard for her to take her daughter to school. I can't get behind the wheel yet, because I have problems with my leg. My wife tells me to rent her a separate apartment. She wants to move there with our daughter. I didn't as become take the car away from my wife. To my offer to return our relationship, she answers categorically, no. She does not hide that she has a new man, but she says that there is nothing between them. Of course, girls never admit to cheating. I started spending a lot of time with my daughter. My wife does not devote time to our daughter. She began to engage in her personal life. She constantly walks in nightclubs with her friends or her new man. I feel very bad and I have become a rag. I'm even disgusted myself. I do not know how to put my wife in her place. My wife constantly tells me you become different, you don't give me enough time, you insult me, and so on. I insulted my wife only twice, and then for a reason. She also tells me that I won't be the same and nothing will work out for us anymore. In general, help me with advice. What should I do? I will definitely read all the comments. If you like the story, give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so as not to miss new videos. Now let's move on to the opinion of the author of the channel. The opinion of the author of the channel. By tradition, I want to wish strength and patience to our heroes. After listening to the first story, I want to say that the man made the right choice and started a new life. I'm not surprised, because mature girls want new sensations. I've heard a lot of stories when girls over 40 did crazy things. Believe me, I can't even tell you everything here, because my video will simply be blocked. Just know that your wife will regret her act very much. She already regrets it at the moment. Ask your children or friends for support. Don't blame yourself in any way. Spend more time on hobbies or work. Start living for yourself. Maybe you'll find a new girl and things will get better. Don't dwell on the past. In the second case, the guy failed his balance of importance. He bent under his wife. To bring everything back is quite real. But think about it. Do you need it? If I were you, I would file for divorce and start a new life. But it's up to you. A couple of tips to get your wife back. Ignore her and don't be led into provocations. While your wife will see how you suffer without her, she's not coming back to you. As soon as she sees how that you're doing well, she herself will ask for forgiveness and come back. No need to run after her and ask for forgiveness. Just don't forgive her right away. We need to wait for the right moment. There were just cases when a girl wrote or came to ask for forgiveness. Guys immediately threw themselves on her neck or answered since. The girl realized that the guy was sitting waiting for her and left again. If you have watched to the end, I want to say thank you very much. I love you all. Thank you for joining me on this exciting journey of love, betrayal, and redemption. I appreciate your support and encourage you to subscribe, like, and share this story. Your participation and feedback are invaluable for shaping our content and promoting mutual understanding and community growth. Until we meet again.